Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bus, and everybody else in between. The Wicked Wednesday has begun. Unfortunately, there's really not a lot going on in the world of sports today, so we'll just focus in on the NFL games on Sunday only. Oh, wait, that's right. Speaking of the National Football League, I believe it was James Hetfield, and in fact, I know it was James Hetfield. I don't know if he wrote it, actually. I think Lars Ulrich might have written the words, but nevertheless, so let it be written, so let it be done. It's been written, it's been done. Creeping death, it's over. All right, it's over. Harbaugh is officially the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. And the Michigan Wolverines right now have to move fast to keep their staff intact right now. There are reports that Jesse Minter is going to leave with Harbaugh, defensive coordinator extraordinaire, superstar coach in the making. Sharon Moore is set to take over at Michigan. I don't know why these sites are doing it. They're like top 8 candidates for the Michigan job. They're top 8 candidates. Top 8 candidates. They already have the guy in the building. And in fact, Michigan's press release, they congratulate Harbaugh. They thanked him for the success. And they said our number one goal right now is to keep our staff intact and move forward and continue to be the Michigan Wolverines. So whatever. It is what it is. There's a lot of stuff to unpack as far as this is concerned. For the record, the Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do. And we've been talking about their flawed roster, and we'll get into the cap issues that they have. Shout out to everyone joining us on Sirius XM Channel 159. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Harbaugh is officially the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, a team that he played for. Of course, he played quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines, and he coached the Michigan Wolverines. And, of course, he played quarterback for the San Diego Chargers, and now he's the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. And he's like the first one to do this. And as I tweeted when I saw the side-by-side pictures and the comparisons, I said, I'm sure Bear fans right now are thinking, like, why can't that be us? Like, he was also the quarterback of the Bears. Like, Harbaugh in L.A. just feels weird. Like, Harbaugh as the coach of the Chicago Bears would have felt, like, right to me. You know what I mean? I have visions of, like, Ditka grabbing his face mask and, like, yelling at him. like Harbaugh got abused hard by Ditka. In those days, like Ditka was like, Ditka would yell at like Walter Payton, right? He'd yell at anybody. So, and Harbaugh was the quarterback. He took a lot of abuse from Ditka in those days. But congratulations to Harbaugh. Well, there's a lot of stuff to get to as far as this is concerned. But we got a couple of picks coming up here right now. Just for the record, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs are playing. I've never seen these Spurs jerseys before. They're all right. Okay, whatever. Like the NBA right now, it's like watching an Oregon Duck game. Like honestly, even like Raptor games. I literally like sometimes I'm watching a game and I have money on the game and like it'll be a missed 3-point shot and I'll be like, oh good, and I'm like, oh no, that's right. The other team's wearing red tonight. We're actually wearing some sort of weird black jersey. Right? Look at the Leaf game tonight. I was watching a Leaf. I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't even know. Like, who are the Jets playing? Right? It's just San Antonio rolling out. I don't know what are these jerseys called? Sort of got like the saloon type of lettering. It's not bad actually. I don't like when I looked at it. I'm like, you know what? It's pretty cool. It's not bad. Yeah, it could be better. Right? The lettering is too small. Maybe guys in Master Control, if you can, get me a picture up. We'll get to this after. Give me a picture up of the San Antonio Spurs jersey. I don't know what this is. Alternate. Is this their City Connect jersey or whatever? Probably is. So nevertheless, though, we got Wembanyama versus Chet Holmgren, NBA Rookie of the Year competition going on. I'm intrigued by this, actually, and I bet quite a bit on it. Well, I didn't go crazy, but I put a bunch of bets in. I got a same-game parlay with SGA and Wembanyama to score 25 or more. Both have 5 or more rebounds. I'm all in on Wembanyama over 22.5 points scored in this game, and I got the Oklahoma City Thunder in a moneyline parlay with the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have already won. I tweeted out the pick with the T-Wolves and the Warriors. So the Warriors are playing for the first time since the tragic passing of their assistant coach. And I don't like handicapping these type of angles and stuff, but they're not losing tonight. You know, I mean, it's just one of those deals. Like, even though they're not very good, this is the one. Like, you know what I mean? It's going to be an emotional night for them and stuff. I get it. Plus, no Trae Young. So I think the Warriors will win the game. NHL hockey. We've got the Vancouver Canucks and the St. Louis Blues. The Blues don't blow. Right? A lot of people talk, St. Louis, they suck and this and that. And they're not bad. They're just not what they once, you know, they won a Stanley Cup. You know, they were a power for a couple of years. They're not a power now, but they're also not a pushover. And I'll tell you what, the Vancouver Canucks haven't lost a lot of games. All right. They haven't lost a lot of games, but the Blues have given the Canucks problems before. They played on January the 4th, actually, this year. All right. So they played this year, and they played in October. Canucks won 5-0, and they lost 2-1. Vancouver, incredibly consistent hockey team. I mean, they're 32-11-4 on the season. But as we saw the other night, they won by 2. I don't think like this is some sort of, the Canucks are going to roll them. I think that I don't trust the LA Kings anymore. I'm starting to run out of patience with the Kings. And how about those San Jose Sharks? Like, we might as well have been bitten by a shark over the last 2 nights, because they've busted a lot of parlays, man. Beating the Rangers and the LA Kings, big city market. There's people right now in New York that are scared because they owe money because the Rangers lost this game right now. But so I don't really trust the Kings on the back end of this parlay. But I don't think the Blackhawks are going to beat the Kraken tonight. So I think the Kraken and the Canucks parlay is the way to go. I got to tell you, I only bet women's hockey now, man. That's my new thing. I swear to God, too, I bet more on the women's tonight than I did anything else. And I ended up watching a women's game for a long time. I saw a bit of the Leaf game. There's been a ton of hockey on everywhere. Like, I don't know, like hockey. There's the draft prospect game was tonight and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is this? So there's all kinds of different hockey on, but you got a bunch of basketball coming on now in the late night hours. Now I got the Canuck game coming up. We got the Blackhawks. We got a little college basketball action as well. So we've got a lot of stuff to unpack. Paul Bovey's going to step up in it and join us. The Big E, Eric Cohen, in the house tonight. Cohen was actually in the house in Toronto tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. So the Big E, Eric Cohen, throws it down with us. Paul Bovey, George Kurtz, the Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart, Ian Cameron, A.K. Babano. As I stated, we're rocking tonight on the Wicked Wednesday. There's a lot of stuff to unpack, including the National Football League Final Four. There's still games to be played. This is Sports Rage.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy,
The early line,
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire,
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Pharrell,
backup quarterback.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live,
Just
prime
took 'em
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
late
better.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. Let's do this thing. There's a lot of stuff to get to. We woke up this morning to another hockey scandal that seems like that was like 2 weeks ago after the Harbaugh news tonight. There's so much going on, man. Like, who would have imagined, like, Patrick Roy back in the NHL and Harbaugh's in the NFL, and in the last couple of days, all these stories would be massive in their own right, but then you're just sort of like, well, what's next? And now it's like, well, I'm expecting Bill Belichick to be announced as the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons any day now, to be honest with you. I think this carousel continues. I'm going to throw it out there that Vrabel ends up in Carolina, I think. But there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. But we've also got some hockey games at the late night hours right now. We got the Big E, Eric Cohen, in the house, former partner in crime with us, now TSN Edge. The Ranger Red Cam Stewart here as well. Their Toronto Maple Leafs were victorious this evening in a 1-0 hockey game. But we've got more games coming up right now. I'll throw it to you first, Cohen. What do you think about the Canucks and the St. Louis Blues game?
I played the St. Louis team total under is what I'm on. The Canucks, you look at that team, obviously, you don't want to lay heavy juice with them, but the way I look at it, the Blues have trouble scoring. They weren't getting much in the Calgary game last time out until they got a couple late ones. But to me, I like the Canucks holding the Blues to under 3 goals.
Now, well, I've been burnt the last 2 nights, Cam, with these parlays by the San Jose Sharks. It's brutal. I was on the LA Kings 2 nights ago, and I was on the New York Rangers last night. I don't trust the Kings tonight, just point blank. So I'm not playing that game. We'll see what happens in game here. But I do think that the Canucks, listen, the Canucks are one of these teams where you sort of just have to bet them every night. And if they're going to lose, well, whatever. But they rarely lose. It is what it is. But I'm going to parlay the Canucks with the Seattle Kraken against the Chicago Blackhawks because I don't trust I don't trust the LA Kings tonight. What are you doing with those games, Kim?
I'm still pissed at the Kings and the Rangers. You blow a 2-goal. Wait, what the hell's going on here? We got 2-0 lead when I leave the show game. I'm going like, what happened to my monster parlay? It's down the toilet. I'm with you. The Pacific Northwest parlay. You got Seattle, you got Vancouver, minus 105. I'm down with that program. I was going to add the Kings, and I said, don't do it, dum-dum. This team, all they do is take your money. I'm done betting on this team, and who knows with the Sabres. They're such a Jekyll and Hyde organization, and I like Cohen's angle. One thing, I watched that Blues Flames game, Gabe, and let me tell you something. Calgary's goaltending was horrible in that game. Like, they had a lead in that game. Vancouver is a much better team than Calgary, and they'll tighten up. They'll understand St. Louis on a back-to-back. They're playing a lot of hockey. I think Eric's on to something there. I think the Canucks win like a 4-2 type of game. I like Vancouver, especially in a parlay.
That Rangers collapse last night. It was my last leg in a parlay. I won like my first 6. It was the Rangers in red, and they're up 2-0 in the third. I literally threw my phone when the Sharks tied that game. That was the Rangers better be careful because Carolina is hot on their heels in that division right now. The Rangers have been pretty bad for the last month.
So speaking of being pretty bad for the last month, I went on a tirade about the LA Kings the other night on this show. They've been terrible. And listen, they've got a bunch of veterans on their team. They're sort of built for the playoffs. I get that. And they're in the dog days of winter right now. They can't put the puck in the net. So that's why I stated I don't trust them tonight. Should they win tonight against the Buffalo Sabres? Probably. They're due. But what are you doing? What do you think of that game, Colin, with the Kings and the Sabres?
Yeah, I don't like the game either, but I'll tell you one thing. Looking at the standings today, that Pacific Division, the Kings, that slide they've been on for the last month, that's going to cost them because, really, you win that division and you're going to get a very weak 8th seed in the West. Right now, it's like Nashville or something like that, one of those wild card teams. You finish second or third, and now you're stuck playing the you got the Oilers. It's such a huge difference in those divisions in the West to finish first and get a wild card team or finish second and third and play teams like Colorado in the Central and Dallas and then or in the Pacific, like I was saying with Vancouver. If they can win the division, they avoid a really tough first round pick. The Kings are going to the Kings have been beat out the last 2 years by the Oilers in the first round. They really had to avoid getting a bad first-round matchup, and right now they're not doing that.
I can't disagree. We were talking about the ridiculousness of the NHL playoff format, which, you don't want to be in that 2-3 spot.
No.
Right? It's brutal. You're almost better off being the wild card, and you take your chance, you get an upset in that first round, and then things work out for the Montreal Canadiens one like that. Right?
You know what it is?
You avoid better teams. If you're in that second, third spot, you guys know, I talked about it last night, Cohen to Cam, the Leafs, every damn year, you either get the Bruins or the Lightning. There's no avoiding it. You need to avoid it somehow. And, you get eliminated.
This year, the Leafs will probably finish second or third, and they'll get Florida. Boston will win the division, and now you face the team that beat you last year, and Florida's very tough to play. So you're right.
In the first round.
Second and third, you're getting
for these guys. What are you going to do? Who do you play? Boston or Florida? There's bad blood everywhere. Tampa
I said
Bay,
Cohen and Cam. I said the best, the only team, but you can't handpick it, is the Lightning. I don't know. Can you beat? You could. You lost in 7 last time. You lost in 7 to the Panthers last time.
What is the game? Why me and Cohen aren't flipping out this year? It actually makes sense with the Leafs. Everyone's like, oh, the Leafs. Cohen understands this too. You don't have to freak out because it doesn't matter if they go for the President's Trophy or not. Just get in the damn dance. You're going to play a team that's beat anyway. It's not the same for them. The West is different, Gabe. You're absolutely, and Cohen's right. The Leafs, you can't avoid this stuff. It's just get into the playoffs and maybe that's better. And people underestimate you.
Well, I think it matters for the Leafs. I think the thing with the Leafs is it's not so much. It's the Dodgers are a good example, right? The Dodgers win 110 games and they don't win the World Series. They realize it doesn't matter, right? If you win 98 games or 106 games, but at the same point in time, what does matter is just playing your best going into the playoffs. I think that's the most important thing for the Leafs. Pretty encouraging, though, that suddenly they're getting good goaltending. Somewhat of a surprise.
The Samsonov story is an incredible one. They put him on waivers. Anybody could have had him for nothing, and nobody picked him up. And now, his last 3 starts have been outstanding. He was great today. The save he made on the 2-on-0 was incredible. He was really the Leafs' only player for the first 40 minutes. No one else did anything. Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner got benched for an entire 2-minute power play because they allowed that 2-on-0. The Leafs were doing absolutely nothing, and Samsonov, who was really their Achilles heel a few weeks ago. Now he's their guy again. He's playing really well. He's figured out what was ailing him mentally.
I was going to say.
That's where they are.
Toronto media is going to go crazy tomorrow. Marner and Matthews got benched for 2 minutes, God forbid. A whole power play.
It's a big story, trust me.
I know it will be.
Yeah.
And in Vancouver, the Canucks once were winning. The Canucks were winning 4-0 in a game. And Tocchet benched JT Miller, of all people, for 10 minutes. He said, he just sat him at the end of the bench for the rest of a period once Because I didn't like his effort. Like Sheldon Keefe's trying to send a message a little bit to the players, right? Yeah. He probably should. Yeah, if you're Keefe, I said, Cam, if you're going to get pushed out, like I said, you want him fired all the time. If I was Keefe, I would go down swinging. I would just say, listen, I would know I'm going to get blamed for this, so I'm going to dial it up on the players a little bit. But whatever, if you dial it up on the players too much, they could turn on you as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Leafs. I give them a puncher's chance in the playoffs, though. I'm not writing them off.
They got to play a lot better than they're playing right now. Their defense is crap.
Exactly. That's the problem. The defense blows, Gabe. They're too old. They're too slow. And the thing is, Marner and Matthews got to step up and be like Pasternak or other guys, like leader. You got to do it every night, guys. This is a job. Like you can't just not show up. Like that's the whole issue with these guys. Like they got and they can't play.
Willie's been terrible since the contract extension, which is a terrible look, right?
Yeah, Nylander's
all right, we'll get into the football on the other side with the Big Erico. We've got Paul Bovey stepping up and in. We've got George Kurtz, Ian Cameron. We've got a full house tonight.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with one touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home-road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
the early line
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks.
Pharrell coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
in-game live,
just
prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage late night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on. All right, so as far as the hockey is concerned, I parlayed the Kraken and the Canucks. The Canucks are like first period kingpins. But I got to tell you what, guys, I keep coming back to this all the time. I'm just in love with this, the women's action. Although I am on Minnesota right now, these games keep on hitting to the under, baby. We got a 2-1 score right now. The total was 5.5. It's amazing, guys. It's up to like 13-3 now, under 5.5. The thing is, they're posting some 4.5s now. But what you do is, I did it tonight in the first game, in the Ottawa game tonight, guys. Early goal, in-game total, pops up to 5.5. I hammer it. It never fails. It's like I said, guys, it's freaking 13-3. Are you betting this stuff at all, Cohen? It's a moneymaker, bro.
I was going to say, when I've watched it, I noticed the goalie stats. And the goals against for all the goalies are like 1.5 and 1.8. And so basically that tells you that these games are going to be low scoring because the goalies are so good in all these games.
You know why, guys? They have it's basically like all the past Olympics and stuff all combined. Right. So suddenly, Cam, like the goalie tonight for Ottawa is that star chick that's on the German team. Like that goalie, she's good. I always remember she got ambushed all the time on the German team. And now she's like in this league. She's like the dude, like the Minnesota goalie. There's a Russian girl on Boston. They got the Russian goalie. They're good. Like the goalies are really good. They got a bunch of big girls, big pads.
I saw really hard to score. The Leafs, Gabe. Something's never changed in Toronto. Even the ladies' team loses. I'm like, what are these guys doing here? Remember they were two? It's like, what?
Yeah. The Toronto team sucks, guys. Somehow, Cody, you see that? The women's Toronto team, they can't.
They are used to it. They suck at everything. Gabe,
even Ottawa's getting a little better.
Except Cam, we beat Ottawa in the playoffs every year.
That's a good point, Cohen. Excellent point. Right? When it counts, we show up. I was going to say there's some late basketball with Washington State and Washington, and there's another late game too, like 10:30, 11. I took both Washington team games. I might as well be in your backyard in the Pacific Northwest tonight. Washington State's playing Utah, and they were laying 2, and then Washington's getting points against Colorado. So nice Pac-12 late-night basketball tonight for all you degenerates.
Pac-12 after dark. Colorado at Washington. I think Washington are live dogs, getting 3 on their home court.
Yep.
And Washington State against Utah, it's 4.5 right now. Washington State are up 16-12. I would lean Utah plus the points. Sort of, I think it's a dog sort of conference. We got New Mexico State, San Jose State later, Colorado State, Nevada. So, Coda, you recovered from the Bills yet?
Yeah, that was rough. Really, really rough.
Was it really, though?
A lot of things.
Come on. You got used to it now.
I'm used to it.
It's like after a while, it's like, okay, man, stop hitting me over the head with
this. The things the Chiefs did in that game, they hadn't done all year. Somehow the Chiefs don't drop a pass. Somehow Valdez Scantling's making big plays. All of a sudden, the Bills, defensive line couldn't do anything. It was frustrating. And then obviously from the Bills' perspective, I haven't liked all the slander on Josh, and obviously Tyler as well. Listen, Bass missed the kick he should have made. Josh missed the throw to Shakir in the end zone on 3rd down. He missed a play that could have been made on that drive where Bass missed the field goal. Yeah, well, that was early.
When he didn't dump it off to Diggs. I don't blame Allen at all.
Bob to Diggs was all Diggs' fault. So there was mistake after mistake after mistake, right? And for people to rip on Josh and say he's not elite and doesn't perform in big moments, a lot of the stuff I heard, I was obviously taken back by that. Do these people not watch? Josh is one of the more clutch players you're ever going to see. It just so happened that he lost to, a quarterback that some people are calling maybe the best quarterback of all time.
But who's really criticizing him, though? Jackasses on Twitter, who are a bunch of losers, and or the hot take shows, right? Of people that need to say stupid things on TV for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Now, and I don't know what's up with Ryan Clark. He's been ESPNized. I think he just thinks I better say something really stupid every day now or something.
Right.
Because he used to be pretty calm. Now he's going after Brock Purdy. And even the Niner players are like, dude, are you an idiot? Do you watch them throw the football? You know what I mean? It's hard to take a lot of this stuff seriously now. But I was going to say, I don't blame Allen. Yeah, you can't criticize Josh Allen. I don't blame the kicker either. I blame McDermott, to be honest. Even though I don't really blame anybody. You win as a team, you lose as a team. They had a million injuries. It wasn't meant to be. But I thought, Cohen, they started screwing around with the clock with like 2.5 minutes left. I didn't like it. We were still losing the game. Like we were in this big panic about, wow, the clock. And we let 30 seconds go off the clock down to the 2-minute warning. And then ultimately, even if they made the kick, they would have gotten the ball back with like 1:47. It's like, dude,
I think what the Bills were thinking on that drive was two things. Not only do we want to score a touchdown, we want to leave Patrick Mahomes as little time as possible. And you're right. They were,
they did neither.
They didn't either.
Like you didn't get you accomplished nothing out of this.
Right.
Like after all that, we ended up in a 44-yard field goal attempt. Like it was like, ridiculous. Guys, like we had like in the first down, the palm of our hands with the clock ticking, and this is what you came back to me with, McDermott.
Yep.
Wow, we're going to go for a field goal game with 44 with $1.50 left in the game.
You're so right, Gabe. Here's the thing about Purdy. The guy's a 7th-round draft pick out of Iowa State, and the friggin' Mr. Irrelevant. And look what he's done. I don't care. Yeah, so Green Bay was the hottest team in the league when they played San Francisco. What the hell do you want from the guy? He's not perfect. He's played 2 bad games. He played a horrible game against Baltimore, and he didn't play great against Green Bay. But you know what? Who cares? Because he had the game-winning drive. It doesdoesn't matter. In the end, the San Francisco 49ers got the job done. We're not talking about spreads. We're talking about moving on and going to the conference championship. People are morons.
I think
Purdy's fine.
I think the thing with Purdy, though, Cam, is that, the 2 games you referenced were games that everybody was watching. Everyone was watching on Christmas against Baltimore, everybody was watching that game against Green Bay. So they saw in the first half, Savage should have had a pick 6 in the Green Bay game. Purdy threw 2 passes that should have been intercepted. Missed opportunities by Green Bay. So many.
The quarterback's a first-rounder, though, Cohen. He's a 7th-rounder. They're taking – come on.
That is true, but I guess that's
though? I was going to say, I think San Francisco, I think they like what they saw, because even that was my one thing about Brock Purdy was he's good, but they're not asking him to win games good, right? And we saw a few times. Remember, Cam, you're on the road in Cleveland. No, it didn't happen, right? Cincinnati, like sort of one of these dudes. It's like, okay, you can win when we're winning 28-12, and but are you that guy when it's like, dude, there's $1.50 on the clock, man, and we need a touchdown. Can you do it? I think that a lot of people on the Niners probably feel pretty good about that last drive, guys, that they saw against the Packers. You know what? This kid was pretty calm under pressure. We're fine.
Especially because he did it without Deebo Samuel. Samuel was such a big part of that game plan, and they had to play most of that game without him after he got hurt. And that's obviously, when the Niners lost their 3 straight games this year, Deebo and Trent Williams were out. So obviously it's a very different offense when Deebo's not in there.
He's the best lineman in the league. They lost all their games when Williams was out. The Cleveland game, whatever, he's a game changer. He protects. That's the thing, man. He's awesome. He's the best. Simple.
So what are your picks? What are your picks this week, Colin? What do you think about Baltimore and Kansas City? I know you're taking Baltimore out of spite here. We all are.
You know what? It's not
spite picks. Hate picks.
America is, Cam. Like nobody outside of Kansas City wants the Chiefs to win.
Well, no, and you know what? When I look at these 2 teams, I think Baltimore.
Besides the Swifties.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Patrick Mahomes. Have the game of the year against Buffalo. You can't expect that's going to be the same. But Baltimore's not hurt the way the Bills' defense was hurt. Baltimore does everything so well. John Harbaugh never gets out-coached. I like Baltimore to win this game by a touchdown. And the other game, I'm taking the Lions to keep things close. Obviously, I'm hoping Deebo does not play. But I do like getting the 7 points, especially if Deebo's out. Right, he didn't practice today. And the Lions. I mean, I'm not going to go out here and call them dirty, but they're going to target you if they know something's up with you. I mean, they knocked out a whole bunch of Rams players.
They dirty.
Knocked out a whole bunch of
They
are
a dirty football team.
Yeah, I don't want to say dirty, but that's what they're going to do. They're going to go out there and try and hurt you, and that's what they're going to do to Deebo Samuel if he's out there, and that's what they'll do to Christian McCaffrey if he's out there. You saw McCaffrey was working on his calf the whole time against Green Bay. The Lions will punish you. If you're on the field, they are going to want. We know what Dan Campbell said in his first ever press conference. They're going to go out there and try and kick you in the teeth, and that's what they're going to try and do to San Francisco. They're going to try and win by playing bully ball. I like the 7 points with the Lions.
Yeah, Campbell wasn't lying, was he? Hey, guys, one about like, we're going to eat your kneecaps. We're going to kick the crap out of a bunch of midgets. I don't care if you're a midget. We'll kick your ass. Like,
he is. He's a perfect coach for the Lions. Yes.
The Stafford video after Higbee got hurt, like the audio of Stafford telling Buddy on the Lions. He goes, "You're a dirty son of a bitch." He goes, "You guys are so dirty." Like Stafford was telling the Lions during the game. I brought it up against the Bucs actually when I was on the air with Pharrell. I said, "Man, the Lions, like they twist your ankle in the pile and stuff, but that's winning." You know what I mean? Sort of like hockey. Like they're doing whatever it takes to win. Like they don't care.
Yep.
They're going to take you out. We're going to tackle. Like you notice, they're tackling low a lot though. That's the sleazy thing. They're going with their helmets at the knees and stuff all the time. You know, San Francisco can be pretty nasty themselves, guys. Meet Fred Warner.
That's true. They are. Did you see the Ravens, the way they hit the Texans? Like every play, I think the guy in the Texans
they're violent.
Like, look, they are. Yeah, they're violent. Hard, man. The
Ravens are a lot like Michigan, the hard, but it's the same defense. It literally is the same defense. It's fly to the ball and hit. Sort of like, I remember once Roman Dunze got hit by 5 Wolverines on the same play. Boom, 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 boom. Like, thanks, Eric.
Later, Cohen.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
I have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was
late
better.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid
We
for
did.
information. Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're always talking about how the 2-0 lead is the worst lead in hockey to have. It seems to me that we're always on the teams to blow the 2-0 lead. Tonight's our opportunity to take the team. It's true, Cam. Tonight's our opportunity to take the team that's down 2-0 in the Vancouver Canucks. But the odds makers are on to this. As you know, normally there's like a massive line when you're down. They're only plus 180, despite being down 2-0. That's crazy. Normally you're plus 180 when you're down 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm taking the plus 1.5 with the Vancouver Canucks right now.
Me too. I'm in there. I'll join you.
The Canucks are a very good intermission team. They're good at like talk it flips out. They adjust. They come out. They're intense. We saw it the other day when they blew the 3-goal lead to the Leafs. They were able to come back again after. Remember, there was another game. They were down like 5-0 once earlier this year in a game. They ended up losing. I think it was to Carolina.
Loser tired.
They were terrible.
We'll get them.
And they lost 6-5 in overtime. It was the Panthers or Carolina. They were down like 5-0, and they came back 5-5.
Yep.
Then they lost in overtime 6-5. So Vancouver have been very, very, like they won't tap out. So Canucks plus 1.5 right now, minus 135. Let's bring in Paul Bovey. Paul's pulled the trigger on a lot of stuff. I see. As far as the National Football League is concerned, Paul, you're ready to pull a trigger. You got a lot of props. Let's do this thing. How you doing, Paul?
Yes.
Oh, great, man. Yeah, you pull the trigger on the homer again, huh? Okay, I got it. Thank you.
This guy never stops. Pillows,
What's the Vancouver Canucks?
Yeah, settle down, Paul. Prop.
Listen, Paul, I know you don't know the difference between a hockey puck and a beach ball, but the Canucks are 32-11 on the season, all right?
All right. Hey.
Mr. Mexico. This guy, I know. I'm sorry, you've been to Ranger games in Honor. You were there.
Yeah. I have a Pavel Bure bobblehead.
I know. I'm just buzzing. He doesn't like when we come back at him, Cam? I came out hard back.
I love this guy. That's the best.
Another homer pick. It's fair, actually. It's fair. That's fair.
It's fair. I bet I'm a homer too, Paul. I do dumb stuff.
But unlike the Raptors, the Canucks are good. So it's not a homer. The Canucks actually are good, Paul, again. They're the best team in the NHL. They literally have the best record in the NHL.
Okay.
They're good. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they happen to be losing 2-0 right now.
Okay.
Plus 180. There you go.
There you go.
This guy.
Oh, he's the best. I love him.
Tried to get to bet in, and it said I wasn't in an area. It was geo-blocked.
He's almost the first round leader, 100 to 100. Guy missed 7 under. My boy. It's like even Wetzel's like, should I cash out my $40? I'm like, no, don't cash out $40. He went from 150 to to 20 to 1. Don't cash out. Good start, buddy. Let's do it.
No, it is good start as far as the Farmers Insurance is concerned. Yeah. So, Paul, I was just talking about Brock Purdy, and we were talking about quarterbacks a little bit, and there's we had a guest on who said he didn't like the Josh Allen criticisms were going on this week. And I said, well, who's really criticizing him besides losers online and or these sort of hot take type of shows that are looking for clicks? And Brock Purdy's in that firing line this week. Oh, no, Brock Purdy's terrible. He didn't play well this and that and everything else in between. But you have confidence in Brock Purdy coming into this game against the Detroit Lions, don't you?
Yeah, I do. The cure for a quarterback, a struggling quarterback, is the Detroit secondary. And we've been pounding this since the Chicago game 5 weeks back. And over the course of the last 5 or 6 weeks, they've given up last week to Baker Mayfield. And as you know, we had the over there at 243. It started out. That was my first wager. I went up to 258. I think it closed at 270. But in the last 5 weeks, Tampa Bay 349, and then 345, 367, and a pair of almost 400-yard performances. In one case, in excess of 400 yards to Nick Mullins, 393 and 411. So this Detroit secondary doesn't stop anybody. And I know Deebo Samuel is in question here, and that would actually strengthen my case for George Kittle because he had 2 highly productive games, including his highest output of the year when Deebo Samuel was out. One game, I believe it was against Cincinnati, 11 receptions for 149 yards. So I'm not scared of Deebo being out. I'd rather have him in the lineup. I think with him in the lineup, it's going to make Brock Purdy look very, very good. Brock Purdy, look, this is his first full year. I mean, we were all waiting for the shoe to drop, and it eventually did against the Ravens with those 4 interceptions. But, you know, he's still cutting his teeth in this NFL. It's a tough league, and I think by and large he's been very successful.
So you've already pulled the trigger, and you're bang on. I hammered Baker Mayfield props, over 1.5 touchdown passes, over passing yards. I even, because, of course, Paul, I am a degenerate weasel, I bet them all the way up to 311.5 in-game. When they were down, I said, well, here we go. I've had a lot of success with the in-game quarterback yards, right, with the teams that are down and back and forth. And it's a market that I really do keep my eye on. So you've already played Brock Purdy over 264.5 passing yards. Paul likes the over in this football game. And you talked about George Kittle. That was one thing last year when Brock Purdy came on. There was one guy that really sort of ate a lot and thrived with Brock Purdy. It was George Kittle, right? Young quarterbacks love the tight end. He's got a good rapport with Kittle. I like where you're going with this, Paul, that George Kittle can do a lot of damage in this football game.
Well, here's what cements that. And I've talked about this in the last few weeks. Detroit is very weak against tight ends. Now, I'm going to take you back to T.J. Hawkinson 4 weeks ago, who had 58 yards, 4 receptions, 2 minutes into the third quarter, and then he goes out with a season-ending injury. So there was also another tight end in the game. I believe his name was Oliver, had 1 reception for 30 yards. But then Johnny Munt, 2 weeks later, is his replacement. Johnny Munt was the second leading receiver in the season finale against Detroit. I believe he has 5 receptions for 58 yards. And, of course, as we saw on Sunday, Cade Otton goes off. I had him over. I gave him out on the show. I'm sure I did, at 29.5, 30.5. And that was just easy pickings. And I think he had 5 or 6 receptions. And, you know, he was just open all day. So I expect George Kittle to have the same kind of success. He's actually better than these guys. And I think Brock Purdy will find him early, often, and throughout. So I think he is a play. My first number was 57.5. Think he's up to 60. My first play on Purdy was 264. It dipped temporarily to 261, and I continue to play it. At this point, I've stopped because it's 275.5, but I still think it's playable up to 295.5.
And to put in comparison, as far as Kittle is concerned, as Paul mentioned, Otton was open all day in the second half last week of that football game. 8 targets, 5 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Evans, 8 catches, 12 targets, 147 yards. So look for George Kittle to go off. Paul's played George Kittle over 57.5 receiving yards, which leads us into the wide receiver role, in which wide receivers have also killed the Detroit Lions as well. We saw what Nakua did to them 2 weeks ago. We saw what Evans did to them last week. Now Brandon Ayuk has an opportunity to do some damage. It's not a low number, though. 75.5 receiving yards for Brandon Ayuk.
Okay, so if you take the number 1 receiver of the opposing team that played the Lions in the last 5 weeks, 48 receptions, 63 targets for it was 740 coming into this past week. So I think Evans had around 130, so it's 870. It's around 14 yards an attempt. It's a ridiculous number. So obviously this play is going to be stronger if Debo's out of the lineup. But if Debo is in the lineup, it's a much stronger case for the Niners to just roll this team and score into the mid-30s, possibly high 30s or low 40s. So, I'm kind of playing with this a little bit. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm just covering all bases here. And I think one way or the other, I'm going to make money with this game because I don't see the Niners losing.
And your sheet looks like Cam's golf picks. Yeah. You'd like it, Cam. He's got George Kittle over 57.5. Then another one. George Kittle over 57.5. There's a couple of more bets in between. Then another one. Over 57.5. George Kittle over 57.5. So you've clicked that 4 times. You've gotten in on the receptions as well. So you're really attacking this, and I like your style here, Paul. So you're really attacking the passing attack. Christian McCaffrey over 36.5 receiving yards.
Love it.
Yeah, I like Christian McCaffrey, but I went very light on the Kittle receptions. That, again, stronger if Debo is out of the lineup because at that point, I think he has 6 or 7. And if Debo is in the lineup, that will be on the cusp of the number, which I believe was 4.5, but I took it because it was plus money, but it's much smaller than the yardage because Detroit gives up chunk plays. So there is a possibility that Kittle only gets 3 catches, but he exceeds his number because he breaks one off for 30 yards. So that's where I'm going with that. Sometimes you have to emphasize catches. Sometimes you have to emphasize yardage. Last week, I emphasized yardage on Travis Kelce, fortunately, because he did not go over his number in terms of receptions, which was 5.5 juice, 6.5 plus money. I went to 6.5 plus money and lost. I think I had 1 unit there and like 4 units on the over 61.5, which we did give out on the show. And he didn't, I wouldn't say he blew the number away with 75, but he was running unmolested over the middle throughout the game, in large part because of Buffalo injuries. They were completely ravaged.
One thing I want to say, too, we've talked a lot about it, guys, this week, in which I brought up 11 of the last 12 Detroit Lion football games have been indoors, right? Like they play indoors. The Vikings are indoors. Like everyone they played basically was like an indoor team for whatever reason. Just it happened that way this year. But their numbers, massive difference, right? They average 30 points a game inside, 17 points a game outside, Cam. Now you're going into the Bay Area. Now, not hostile. It's not hostile weather, Paul, but it's not perfect dome conditions. You know what I'm saying? There's something to this. Jared Goff as well. Like his numbers indoors, outdoors. Jared Goff is 0-5 his last 5 games against the San Francisco 49ers. 3-6 in his career. He played them a lot earlier with the Rams as well. Lions haven't won in San Francisco since 1975. A lot of stuff working against the Lions here, but they do have a great quote in their head coach that beats up midgets and eats kneecaps.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon, not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Pharrell
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
You
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took them
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
SportsRage
That was
late
good betting.
night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Patient, did like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
St. Louis Blues up 2-0 on the Vancouver Canucks after 20 minutes of play in a rainy Vancouver this evening. Canucks are in tough. St. Louis are very good when they have the lead. They're up 2-0, but it's the dreaded 2-0 lead. I would expect the Canucks to score the next goal. We've got a bunch of early goals in this Kings-Sabre game. 2-1 right now for the Kings over the Sabres. Still 13 minutes remaining in the first period of play. We got Paul Bovey in the house with us right now. So, Paul, we focused in on the so much on the San Francisco-Detroit game. Kansas City and Baltimore are playing this week too, obviously. I see you haven't attacked this game as much yet, but what are your early thoughts about it?
Well, I did. I made a few plays, one of which, the first play I made was under 14.5 points largest lead, which I think is a bargain. At last check, I saw 14 and I saw 13.5. I mean, Baltimore's team total is only a shade over 23 or so. So it doesn't really make sense that it's going to open up a huge lead, and I don't see that. I do lean under here. Now, 45 is a key number, so certainly if you could buy up, I don't buy up or down on totals except on numbers 45 and 51. 51, by the way, saved me in that San Francisco-Kansas City Super Bowl years ago, and I shall never forget that because it was a large bet, and I went down, laid $1.13, and final score 31-20, so it actually saved me on my over 51. But I do like I'm going to shade under here. I think both teams are definitely going to try to run the ball, and I went no score first 6 minutes under that guys that you're going to see running at least at the outset as these teams try to feel each other out.
All right, we'll hit this and more on the other side with Paul. George Kurtz ready to step up and in as well. We've got a lot of stuff to get to with George. A lot of crazy stuff going on. Is the NHL going to Utah?